She was its first light, but even light can turn its back. Now.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei confronted his childhood crush Momoyo Kawakami after getting Harem movie. Before we start, please go support reytheorix for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. In this story we will go back to Issei's childhood before meeting Arena, and Issei lived in the city of Kawakami, being that he would be a member of the Kazama family, and this will happen after the raiding game between Seekvaira and Rias Buonono after the confession. Issei was enjoying his life as boyfriend of his beloved Rias Gremory and with the rest of his harem, but by chance while cleaning his closet, he finds an old photo that he took with his childhood friends, and when he remembers all the crazy and great moments that he spent with them, he decides to return to his hometown to meet up with his first friends and his first childhood love, the Kazama family, and especially Kawakami Momoyo, with whom he has a childhood promise to fulfill. Prologue: Memories of the past. In a meadow you can see a group of 7 friends playing, 5 men and 2 women who would respond as a group like the Kazama family, named after their leader Kazama Shuichi, and the members are. Kazama Shuichi, or Cap, as can be deduced, is the leader, and why he is, well, 2 reasons. The first would be his great charisma, luck, and the inspiration he promotes in his own people, and the second reason is that the first option did not accept being the leader. He is the founder and first member. Now Yamato, better known as the group strategist, a boy who, at his young age, could already be considered someone you really don't want as an enemy, that's for sure, suffers from 8th grade syndrome, believing himself to be someone deep, mature and enigmatic, uttering phrases completely in line with the character he believes himself to be, something he will regret in the future, is the second member to join. Moroka Takuya, or as he is known by his nickname Moro, is something like the quiet boy of the group. He is somewhat shy, but make him angry, and he can be scarier than the devil. He is good with computers, and is somewhat of an otaku. He along with Gakudo, were the 5th and 6th to join. Shimazu Gakudo, what can you say about him? A lot of muscle and little brain, basically one of the 3 strongmen of the group, besides being a complete lost case when it comes to girls, getting to do authentic crazy things just to impress them, although he always fails and ends up being ignored. His friends believe that he will be an eternal bachelor. He along with Moro, joined the Kazama family almost at the same time. Hyoudou, Issei, or Ice as his friends call him, is the happiest boy in the group and the most confident of all. At the same time he is very kind and always helps whoever needs it. This made him be named unanimously as the leader of the family, but Issei rejected the offer since, according to him, he does not have Cap skills as a leader. He is the second strongest of the Kazama family and the 4th member in order to join. Akamoto Kazuko is the second happiest member of the family, rivaling Issei. She is also like the Kazama family's pet, so later on, at Yamato's idea, she will end up being trained by everyone to properly assume said role, thus being called by them, except Issei, Wanko. She was the first female member of the family and the 3rd to join it. Kawakami Momoyo, what can I say about her? Issei's childhood friend before the Kazama family, the first in fact and also the strongest of the group by very little. She is always challenging Issei to a fight and of course always receiving negative responses. She was the last to join the family so far and in turn is Issei's childhood love, secret. This group was playing as usual, without a cap, without realizing that they were being watched from a distance. The person watching them was a white-haired, light-skinned, red-eyed girl, correct me if I'm wrong, wearing a white strapless dress. That was not something particularly new for the girl. She had already observed them from a distance on other occasions, never taking a step forward, never approaching that group of children, at least until today, because that day the girl took all the courage she could and decided to ask if she could finally join that group, which for her represented her last hope, one that she prayed to receive. Otherwise, she did not know what could become of her, but she did know one thing. She could end up completely lost if rejected. Therefore, with slow and somewhat trembling steps, the girl did not hesitate to approach one of the children who, at that moment, was resting after having played so much. Yamato. Ah, I'm exhausted. Wanko and Issei really have a lot of energy to play with that intensity. They are both very similar. Said the Yamato child calmly. Issei took away his Chuni stage when he joined the group until someone spoke to him behind his back. Said the girl, to which Yamato turned around to see who it was. Yamato. What's up, who are you? Yamato asked, somewhat intrigued by the girl in front of him. It seems like they are having a lot of fun, he said, to which Yamato decided to listen. Let me join too, he said in a childish tone. If you let me I will give you this. He extended his hand offering one. Yamato. A marshmallow? Yamato asked, very surprised by the girl in front of him. The little girl responded excitedly. Yamato, thoughts? What do I do? She's a bit of a strange girl and Cap isn't here, what can I do? He thinks, of course I'll ask Issei, and just in time he also stopped playing, how lucky. Yamato. Hey Issei, can you come here for a moment? Yamato called, so the brown-haired boy went to Yamato, who he saw with a white-haired girl he didn't know, and he started asking who she was. Issei. What's wrong Yamato and who is that girl? Asked a brown-haired man, to which the black-haired man gave him an explanation and left the decision in the hands of his brown-haired friend. I understand you want to join, right? Is that why you offer that marshmallow? The brown-haired man asked the white-haired woman, who only nodded. Issei then brought his hand closer to the girl's and just closed it, making it clear that she was rejected. But before she could say anything, Issei told him in advance, if you want to join, don't give us a candy, instead give us a smile. If you want to join, you are more than welcome, since from today you are a member of the Kazama family, by the way, and I am Hyoudou Issei, but everyone calls me Ice. And what is your name? Yukai. My name is Koyuki, nice to meet you Ice-kun, said the little white-haired girl, now called Koyuki, extremely happy, almost to the point of shedding tears of joy for being accepted and at the same time recovering the hope that she almost lost, all for little Hyoudou Issei, who without knowing it, little by little, would become the most important person for her. So with the addition of Sakakibara Koyuki to the Kazama family, things got more lively. Of course, Issei received a scolding from Momoyo for including another person to the family without Cap's authorization, although everything calmed down quickly when they remembered what Issei was like. In that way she was accepted. With the passage of time, Koyuki, or as she was commonly called by all, Yuki, met two children named Aoi Tama and Inoue-ju, who although against their will would join the Kazama family. In the end, within it, they would find, thanks to its members, the feeling of a family. In Wanko they would see a younger sister, in Cap a very free brother, in Gakudo and Moro a pair of very peculiar brothers, Gakudo for his obsession with girls and Moro for his bipolar way of acting, in Momoyo a somewhat terrifying older sister, in Yamato Tama would find a rival, and in Issei, a brother who helps others at any price without caring what happens to him. In short, they finally felt like a family. Some time later, Yamato, after seeing the treatment that a classmate named Shina Miyako received and after living with her, seeing her tastes and her way of being, decided to ask the family for help, and their answers were the following. Shuichi. No problem for me, it seems like he could be someone interesting, what you guys say? Gakudo. I don't know, it certainly bothers me what they do to her, but if we help her they will surely go against us. Think about Wanko, she wouldn't stand it, besides the girls would surely stop talking to me. Kazuko. No problem for me. Issei. Seriously, you have an obsession. You should go to a psychiatrist. Gakudo. Bakuya. Well, I don't know what to do. They'll probably bother us. Momoyo. But what a cowardly moor. I say we kick the asses of those abusive children. Koyuki. I say we do it, those children are going to regret being born. Ahaha. June. Momo-senpai really influenced you, Yuki. I feel sorry for Ice. Issei. Why do you feel sorry for me? That's what I, bold, should say. Yuki did a good job. June. What did you say? Issei. What did you hear, besides being bald and deaf? Tama. Stop fighting, besides, Issei-kun, you still haven't given your opinion on the matter. Issei. You were saved bald, but well, that's fine by me. It might be interesting to include Yamato's girlfriend. Yamato. She's not my girlfriend. She's just a friend, nothing more. Issei. Aja and I have a harem. Guys thoughts, if only you weren't so clueless. Issei. But Yamato, I think we won't do anything for now. Yamato. Why? Everyone agrees. Issei. That's because your determination isn't strong, on the contrary, it's the weakest of all. When you make up your mind, count on us. So the days passed, the same ones in which Yamato was thinking what to do. On the one hand he wanted to help Shina, but on the other hand he was thinking about Issei's words, your determination is the weakest, without knowing what to do, until one day, in the schoolyard, you can see Shina being bothered by 5 other children in a contest of who makes Shina cry the most, and just when Yamato could see Miyako's tears, he understood Issei's words. Yamato's determination was the weakest because he did not want to help his partner completely by his own will, but after seeing that, after seeing those tears, finally Yamato's will was in the right place. Boy 1. Yeah, I did it, and Yamato, who made her cry? Said the boy, excited by his achievement. But Yamato. It was me, said Yamato, looking at the ground. AID2. Hey Yamato, don't take the credit, that's not. Yamato. It was me, and until now I realize, that's why that I, Yamato shouted, hitting the ground hard with his foot. This while some memories came to mind, memories of his father and Issei. PY, Yamato's father. Remember Yamato, if you're going to help her, prepare yourself for everyone to go against you, for them to go against your friends. Those words spoken by his father were not only a warning, but also a lesson, the lesson that if he decided to save Miyako, if he saved anyone, he should do it to the last consequences. Issei. Why do I always help others without hesitation? What a silly question. You don't need a reason to help someone who needs it. Remember this, helping others shouldn't be an obligation but a decision, one that you make on your own merits and by your own will. The words of his friend, someone who didn't care what he had to endure, even if the heavens themselves condemned him, he would always extend a hand to whoever needed it, proof of his unbreakable will, but Yamato, although he couldn't reply, wished to possess only a small part of it, enough to never hesitate to help whoever needs it. And for that reason, for the girl who, until now, he had ignored out of a simple and vain fear, for the fact that, when she needed him most, he practically ignored her, but above all, to never embarrass his friends, especially those he admired the most, but above all for himself, that is why. Yamato. I will help her, he said, to which all the children paid attention to what Yamato would say, but two in particular were waiting for the moment to act. Child 3. What are you saying, Yamato, have you gone crazy? Yamato. Guys, let's stop this. At this rate, she's going to commit suicide. Oy1. So what? It would be a heroic act. Yamato. Do you even listen to what you're saying? Just because a few started bothering her, the rest joined in. Don't you see how cruel this is? Boy 4. Don't talk as if you didn't do it, or maybe the prostitute cheated on you. Yamato. Her parents have nothing to do with her, just because of what her mother does, it doesn't mean it has to affect Shina-san. Child 5. Did I give you the Shina virus? Yamato. And stop with the Shina virus, she's not sick, he said after stroking Miyako's head, which shuddered a little. Come. Oy1. Yamato is infected quickly, we have to tell everyone, surely his friends are too, he didn't finish speaking, because a punch hit him directly in the face, courtesy of Issei. Issei. I don't think so, my friend, so do us all a favor and stay there, and you guys, what do you want? Shuichi. Don't keep all the fun for yourself, Ice. Yamato. Guys, what are you doing here? Issei. Shuichi. What else, help me, idiot. Yamato. Guys, thank you very much. Issei. And Yamato, is your will already in the right place? Yamato. Yes, and I'm not going to move it from there, I assure you, Ice. Issei. That's great and all, but we have another matter on our hands, well maybe 5 to 10 actually. Shuichi. How the hell did they pile up so fast? Bully kids. Them. Issei. Yamato. Shuichi. Come. And so began a fight, if you can call it that way, since it was very one-sided. Issei took care of 7 of the children in 1 minute, and as for the other 3, those were Yamato and Cap. The fight ended when Issei knocked out the last boy. After this incident, and Yamato's words of support, which Miyako misinterpreted as love, he officially joined the Kazama family, so after a year of madness and changes, such as the adoption of Kazuko by the Kawakami temple. This at Momoyo's request and Issei's suggestion. As well as the transfer of custody of Koyuki from her mother to the Ammon hospital, this due to mistreatment and abuse, as well as the news that would affect the group the most, the departure of one of its members, Issei, would end up moving to Kuoh because of his parents' work. Of course this news fell on them all like a blade of cold water. The most affected were Kazuko, sees Issei as her brother, Momoyo and Koyuki, who protested. But in the end they had to give up, and one day before Issei's departure, they all got together to have fun like never before and take a photo of everyone together, this to remember each other before he goes to his new city, Kuoh. Of course Momoyo made Issei make a promise before leaving. Issei. So, Momo-chan, why did you call me? Issei asked, clearly intrigued by what his childhood friend would say. Momoyo. Remember you always refused to fight me? Momoyo asked, still with his back turned. Issei. How could I not remember it? I even had to train like crazy so you wouldn't end up breaking my bones. What are you trying to achieve? The brown-haired boy asked his friend. Momoyo. Promise me something. Issei. What do you want me to promise you, Momo-chan? Momoyo. When we meet again, promise me we'll fight. Issei. Okay, but if I win I'll ask you for just one thing, Momo-chan. Momoyo. What? Issei, what do you want from me if you win? Issei. If I win that fight, you will marry me, said the brown-haired boy, clearly embarrassed. Momoyo. Very well, but if I win you will grant a wish of mine, without complaining, understood, he said as he stretched out his pinky finger as a sign of the pinky promise. Issei. Done, he said and intertwined his pinky finger with Momoyo's. Issei. Momoyo. Until we meet again to fulfill our promise. And so, with that typical act of children, a promise was forged, which in the future would become the beginning of everything, a promise that would mark both the goddess of war and the Sekiryuutei, only they did not know it yet, not until almost 8 years later. Chapter 1. The Memory Box. Transfer to Kawakami and the Kawakami War. It's been 8 years since the Kazama family was complete with Issei and Miyako's move. Of course, things didn't get discouraged in the city of Kawakami, as the Kazama family was the most active group of friends in the place, and some things worth highlighting would be that Miyako fell madly in love with Yamato and would spend her time harassing him almost day and night. Of course, Yamato would spend his time rejecting her, that was mostly out of discomfort and for no other reason. Since I saved her to save myself, Issei made sure that Yamato didn't feel guilty about the matter. As for Gakuto and Moro, what can we say? Moro is becoming more and more of an otaku, and Gakuto is constantly being rejected by girls and being selective about the age of the girls, which doesn't help him at all, to the point where he is considered one of the most perverted members of the Kawakami Academy. As for Kazama Shuichi, he is the one who has changed the least mentally, since in the physical realm he would compete with the prince of the academy Kuoh Hyoudou, but in other respects, he was still a child, even in the romantic aspect, as incredible as it may seem. And with Yamato separately, he continues to reject Miyako's advances tirelessly, although it seems that with each day he begins to give in to her, although of course this causes him an emotional conflict since the one he likes is Wanko, Kazuko, and he feels that it is not right to fall in love with Miyako in the academic field, let alone the second best in the academy, only surpassed by his friend and rival Aoi Tama. And regarding Kawakami Kazuko or Wanko as everyone calls her, although she is a cutie at the academy, well I'll just say that she is the one who developed the least of the group, she remains just as innocent and childish, of course not at Cap's level, since she was aware of romantic and sexual acts to the point of feeling them, and in the training at the temple, Kawakami is the one who tries the hardest to reach her two older brothers. Her stepsister Kawakami Momoyo, or as she was known in the world of martial arts, the goddess of war, and her older brother Hyoudou Issei, the only one who could stand up to Momoyo, they were the pinnacle that she someday wanted to surpass. And regarding Momoyo, she developed into a beauty in body and appearance, long very dark brown hair, intense red eyes, well-defined face, hergless waist, 98 cm breasts, and still developing, and hips and butt that would kill anyone, but with all this, because she doesn't have a boyfriend, simple everyone is afraid of her, since she is not only the most beautiful girl in the academy, but the strongest too, and there is also the fact that she is waiting for the return of her childhood friend to fulfill her promise, and she already knows what he will ask her. I will not go into details, but every time you ask her about the subject she just blushes. She spends all her time in fights with challengers to kill time and bothering Yamato, who is her younger brother by obligation. Regarding Miyako, she developed into a Yamato Nadeshiko, short purple hair, slim waist, 84 cm breasts and still developing, hips, butt and legs that everyone says are perfect, and the reason she doesn't have a boyfriend is that she spends her time harassing Yamato day and night to the point of earning the nickname Yamato's wife, a nickname that the black-haired man didn't like at all but the purple-haired girl loved. Regarding academics, there's little to say, she's one of the best in martial arts, well, as the heir to the Shinaryu archery style, she's quite skilled, in simple terms she will always hit her target. Regarding Koyuki or Yuki, she did hit puberty hard, having a development almost at the level of Miyako, only her breasts were 95 cm, rivaling Momo-senpai for the position of #1 beauty in the academy. Of course, regarding those who had the courage or stupidity to ask her out, let's just say that most of them arrive at the Ammon hospital with serious fractures, and in the worst case, a guy who insulted Issei to his face is the perfect example of a contortionist, only taken to the extreme to the point of having a foot stuck in his anus, that made it clear to all the boys in the academy that not flirting with her would be a death sentence. And with Aoi Tama, well, he is another of the 4 charming princes of the academy that added to his great intelligence, attractive personality and charisma caused him to gain the appreciation and trust of the entire class, so the elites of Kawakami, especially a certain incredibly loud white-haired man who is obsessed with Wanko, and well, with respect to the Kazama family, he is a member of it, and every time he competes with Yamato, they can be considered eternal rivals. And with the #1 Lolican of Kawakami Inoue Jun, or the bald one courtesy of Yuki, well, he always follows Tama everywhere like a henchman or an academic assistant, little to say, he is in class S, but he is, along with Yuki and Tama, one of the few who are not arrogant about the subject of social class. And that would be all regarding the old members, but the Kazama family recently accepted 2 new members who are Ayazumi Yuki, or as she is nicknamed in the Meiuchi family, the daughter of the Sword Saint and the second strongest woman within the Kawakami Academy, being a member of the Big Four after defeating Tachibana Taki, and well, about her physique, is almost the same caliber as Miyako, and except for the fact that she has a more developed and firmer butt than the purple-haired girl, a peculiarity of her is that she spends her time talking to her telephone strap that she calls Matsuka's. Well, in attitude she is someone very shy, and when she tries to approach others to make friends, she ends up scaring them away, but otherwise she is someone very polite, courteous and kind. Of course, even with the Kazama family, she continues to have moments of stiffness in which she shows the terrifying and tense smile that scares everyone away. Then there is the transferred from Germany Christiane Frederick, or Chris for short. She is a blonde girl with a slim waist, slender legs, firm hips, 73 cm breasts, correct me if I'm wrong, and a serious face almost all the time. Her attitude is basically that of a vigilante who in plain sight only sees the black and white of things. That almost earned her an expulsion from the Kazama family when she criticized the secret base that they have clear. The matter was resolved, but Miyako will surely remember it for a long time. Academically, she is good, she specializes in Japanese history, being a fanatic of it almost at the level of Rias, only Chris is more extreme in the matter, and regarding combat, her style is rapier. By the way, the people she gets along worst with in the Kazama family are Yamato and Tama, since they are the strategists, something that she considers cheating. But that afternoon at the secret base was when a good friend and the 13th member of the family would be remembered, all for one photo that would fall on the blonde's head. Secret base in the afternoon. You can see the Kazama family cleaning the secret base, a routine cleaning, and Gakuto desperately hiding his porn magazines from Momo-senpai and Yuki to avoid punishment like the last time. I'll just say that Gakuto almost ended up being turned into a woman, but just as Chris was cleaning part of the bookcase, due to the force she exerted, she ended up dropping a frame on her head that would bring back memories to all the oldest members of the Kazama family. Chris. Ouch, that hurt, said the blonde, getting up and picking up what had fallen on her head. What is this, a photo, she said, and started cleaning the glass of the frame, to which everyone out of curiosity would approach to see what it was, and just when she finished cleaning the photo could be seen. Wow, it's a photo of you all as children, it will surely bring back memories. Yamato. Yes, it's been 8 years since we took that photo, remember guys? Shuichi. Yes, memories of when the entire Kazama family was together, don't believe it. Gakuto. And you say that, I still remember that day and Yumoro. Bikuya. Yes, it is very nostalgic, how strange it is. Do you think it will come back soon? Momoyo. He has to come back after all, he has a promise to keep, don't you think so, Yuki? Koyuki. Yes, Momo-senpai, that will be the day we settle this matter, and I assure you that I will win, ahaha. Kazuko. I didn't think I'd see that photo again. I really hope he comes back soon and keeps the promise he has with One-sama. I'll cheer him on so he can win. Tama. It really brings back memories, right Jun? June. Yes, young man, I love this, it brings back many memories and also the reason why I am bald. Miyako. If it has been a while, don't you believe it? Kazama family, except Yuki and Chris. True. Chris, I think we're missing something, could you explain it to us? Yuki. Yes, I agree with Chris-an, could you explain what is happening here? Yamato. Alright, well, the story is somewhat long, but it starts with, and so Yamato told the story of the 13th member of the Kazama family, Hyoudou Issei, as he always had a smile on his face, as he always helped others without asking for anything in return, something that Chris liked, all the adventures and crazy things they did together, how he saved Yuki from breaking down because of her mother's abuse, how he supported Tama and Jun when they joined the Kazama family, and how he was the one who refused to help Miyako until Yamato's will was in the right place. In short, the whole story that Issei had with the Kazama family until he moved to Kuoh because of his parents' work. Chris. He sounds like a great person because Yamato and Tama can't be like him. Yamato. Issei asked us not to imitate him, he wanted us to be ourselves and develop our own personality. Tama. It's very true, that's why we are who we are. Before leaving, he said this. A real man is one who lives by his ideals and not those of others. Yuki. By the way, Issei-sen was aware of the abuse that Koyuki-sen suffered when he integrated her into the Kazama family back then. Yamato. No, Issei didn't know, he just invited her of his own free will, but he only discovered the abuse issue 2 weeks later, and he was the one who supported Yuki the most from that moment on. Yuki. If it weren't for Issei, I don't know what would have become of me. Just thinking about it terrifies me. June. Well, you may have good memories of the topic, but I and my hair don't. Chris, what do you mean, Inoue-san? June. It's because of ice that I've been bald since I was 8. Yuki. But wasn't it Koyuki-san who made you bald? June. Yes, but who do you think gave Yuki the idea just because he thought it would be fun? Tama. Yes, I remember when they fought every time you expressed your condolences for Yuki's attitude. Yuki, ha just like Issei-kun said, it was very funny. Chris. I see, but he sounds like a great man, but what is still not clear is the promise that the dog, Kazuko as Chris calls him, Momo-senpai, and Yuki-sen were talking about. Momoyo. The promise is that when he returns we would face each other in a duel, and if I won he would grant me a wish. Yuki. That's not crazy, I mean he would face Momo-senpai, the goddess of war. It wouldn't be impossible. Shuichi no Asteria Tansagura Meuchi. Chris. What do you mean, Cap? Are you saying that Issei-sen could beat Momo-senpai in battle? Yamato. Well, believe it or not, Issei was the second strongest of the Kazama family, surpassed by very little by Ni-san. In fact, she always challenged him to a fight, which he always rejected. Chris. So you're saying that Momo-senpai could lose against Issei-san? Momoyo. We don't know that if Issei was training non-stop since then I think it would be very difficult for me to beat him, but if he didn't do it, it will be easy to beat him. Chris. By the way, Momo-senpai, what did you promise Issei-san if he won? Momoyo. I don't remember, although I have a feeling it was important. Yuki. I see, I'm sure you have good memories with him. Yamato. And you say it Meiuchi, thoughts, how will Issei be and what will you be doing? Change of scene Kuoh City Kuoh residence Hyoudou residence. Now we can see a brown-haired boy well known to all, Hyoudou Issei, the current security pawn of Rias Gremory, or as he is known in the entertainment world of the underworld, the Oppi Dragon. This was due to a trap by the ruler of the fallen angels, one of the three biblical factions, Azazel, who is also the club's advisor. Why do I say that he fell into an Azazel trap? Because Issei, although it seems incredible in the academy, is known as one of the two princes of Kuoh. This is explained by the fact that Issei is not a pervert beyond the average, thanks to the teachings of the Kawakami temple that his first childhood friend forced him to take. Regarding the trap, this was in collaboration with Serapho Leviathan Sitri, who is openly in love with a brown-haired drake bearer, and how he kept the title of Oppi Dragon, Azazel only asked him about his tastes in women, to which, without suspecting anything, he said breasts and with a call to Serapho, the program was already ruined, to the shame of Drake, who ended up traumatized for life, all because of a crow. But returning to the topic of what Issei is doing, he is cleaning his closet of objects that may be of little use, but in the middle of his cleaning he found a box, said box that brought back his best moments of childhood and a promise. Issei. Damn, why is there so much garbage here? At this rate I'll never finish, said the brown-haired boy until by chance he came across a box that had written on it in his own handwriting, Kazama family. What is this Kazama family? What memories? I wonder how the others are in Kawakami. Well, it's worth opening the box after all time has passed. Said Issei as he opened the box and was able to observe his entire childhood with the Kazama family, all the crazy things he did and the adventures they had and his promise he had with his first childhood friend. Issei, have you finished cleaning your closet? Said a female voice coming from the ground floor of the Hyoudou residence, a voice that Issei knows very well, that voice being Issei. Yes, I'm done, Rias, I'm going downstairs. I just ran into something nostalgic, the brown-haired man replied to his girlfriend and one of his fiancés, Rias Gremory, heir to the Gremory clan, who, along with the other residents of the Hyoudou house, were cleaning it. Those residents would be Issei Hyoudou, obviously one of the founding members of the Kazama family and in turn a member of the Gremory entourage, is also Kiba's rival in the Kuoh Academy, as one of the two princes of the academy, being the serious prince who was admired for his physique, that due to his training since he was 5 years old in the Kawakami temple, and to this day, he continues to do so, with the purpose of defeating the goddess of war. Another thing to highlight is that in the supernatural world he is known as the most powerful Sekiryuutei in history since in his first confrontation against Gabriel, he humiliated him in a terrifying way, he literally beat him with just one hand. And in his fight against Hakuryuko or Volley Lucifer, only using his boosted gear, he was able to stand up to Albion's balance breaker to the point where they were completely equal, and when he reached balance breaker, what can we say when Kuroka appeared in the battle she had against Issei, he set the condition that if she lost she would become his, and well, the result should be obvious. In the raiding game that was against Sona Sitri, it was thought that Issei would be the one who would cause the most destruction, but the surprise was great when Issei always ended his fights with martial arts techniques, focused on attacking vital points, and with respect to other enemies like Loki, Diodora, Shalba, Hakao and rivals like Razor and Serekh because they felt the full power of the brown-haired man who in the case of the enemies saw hell on earth being that the one who ended up worse was Cao Cao since his Longinus the true Longinus, after witnessing the power of Issei that he reached as a human, ended up changing into the hands of Issei, a hard blow to Cao Cao, who did not feel good at all, that his spear chose Issei as its new bearer, although he calmed down, knowing that the spear chose Issei for his human power, but not for his demon dragon power, which led the leader of the hero faction to abandon the Chaos Brigade to train and return to be worthy of the true Longinus. And as for rivals in the case of Razor Phoenix, Issei took away his arrogance the first day of meeting him with a few words, if you truly say you are what you are show it with honor, and not with arrogance, phrase that dug deep into the Phoenix and led him to become stronger after the confrontation against Issei himself, who challenged Razor to a 1vs1, in which they played the hand of Rias, that Issei won with clear superiority, and as for Serekh, well, let's just say for the first time he found Someone to overcome Issei, who always equaled him either in bare fists or when he used the balance breaker of Regulus Nemia, and Issei the balance breaker of Drag, but Issei decided for the first time in that fight to use a forbidden technique from the Kawakami temple. He went for the Kawakami Ryu Aogi Ikakata dragon type light of the great dragon. The next thing that could be seen, it was Issei who won the fight without a scratch and a shattered Seekvaira, who was barely able to get up due to his mother's words, but only to fall back to the floor. It should be noted that Issei already has the true queen, but he didn't see her as necessary. That would be the summarized story of Hyoudou Issei. Rias Gremory, current heir to the Gremory clan and a true celebrity in the underworld thanks to Issei, and it should also be clarified that since Issei demonstrated his power against Seekvaira in the raiding game, he has been in a terrible mood because Issei receives many marriage requests from the patriarchs of numerous clans of the underworld. He was even engaged to the heiresses of the Sitri and Phoenix clans, these being Ravel Phoenix Sona and Serafal Sitri. The latter nominated herself, and of course they are currently residents of the Hyoudou house, and regarding the subject of the brown-haired woman, according to her she is Issei's first partner and therefore the alpha in the harem. What she does not know is that soon she will have to face an enemy that will truly make it very difficult for her to maintain the title. Akeno Himejima, the queen of Rias Gremory and her childhood friend, is known as the priestess of the sacred lightning in the supernatural world, a nickname she earned after Issei helped her accept her fallen angel blood from her father. It was also thanks to Issei that Akeno was able to make peace with her father. There is little more to say about her other than that whenever she can, she fights with Rias for Issei's attention. She will also have a rival in the Kazama family, this being a very sadistic and innocent white-haired girl. Asia Argento is the shy one of the group of girls, but she would also be the most jealous of all. She would be the nun that Issei, along with Afal, would save Azazel from the fallen traitors regarding the brown-haired issues. She is the one who spends the most time with him because Issei was assigned the mission of protecting her, and she is also the reason why Issei is a demon of the Gremory clan. He asked that of the Gremory heiress to be able to be with Asia and take care of her as much as possible, and well, she is another of the many couples of the brown-haired and also another of the reasons why Gakuto will end up torn to pieces when Issei returns to Kawakami. Kaneko Taojo, she would be something like the lowly of the group. At first she was inexpressive, but over time she began to be more open with her emotions and went to the point of telling the brown-haired man the reason why she was from the Gremory clan, how her sister went crazy with power and how she abandoned her, something that seemed strange to the brown-haired man to say the least, since going crazy with power with Sujutsu is something impossible for a Nekashu. He himself is clear about it, since the power necessary for such an action would be the equivalent of Drake and Albion in their best moments, and even with that only a child would go crazy with that power momentarily, since Senjutsu is pure and clean energy, and when he collides with his older sister he would fix things. He is also Issei's partner, and the reason why June will try to hang Issei. Zenobia, the fourth former exorcist of the church, she joined the Gremory nobility after learning of God's death. At first, she didn't know what to do with her life, just when Gabriel took away Asia and Irina's hopes, but Issei said the words that would restore her faith: God may no longer be with us, but his teachings will endure forever in our hearts. Those words alone that came out of the mouth of a demon made her see that she still had a path to follow, but religion would not be her guide, but her own will. That is why she chose to be a demon. He is Ria's knight. She, more than another of the brown-haired girls, is more of a resident, since she has not yet defined her feelings for the honey-eyed Irina Hyoudou, Issei's first childhood friend in Kuoh. She, like Asia and Zenobia, after hearing of God's death lost all hope, but with Issei's words, she regained her faith. Currently she is an angel reincarnated by Michael. She occupies the role of Michael's ace and is the one who most claims Issei as hers. On more than one occasion she tried to convince her childhood friend to become an angel. Of course, he rejects the offer for two reasons. The first is that he could not take care of Asia as well as an angel, since he has priorities in heaven. The second is that being the Sekiryuutei, becoming an angel, would bring many problems in heaven and even internal wars in it. Therefore, she, along with the most beautiful seraphim in heaven, got engaged to the brown-haired boy. Irina is the only one who knows about Issei's past with the Kazama family, and like another of Issei's women, being an angel, she is the most reserved, having the fear of falling and being part of Gregory, as well as another resident of the Hyoudou house. Roswise, granddaughter of the Valkyrie Gondel and in turn former personal escort of the leader of the Norse gods Odin, she would be the newest resident of the Hyoudou house, that because of Odin, who abandoned her in the human world. Of course, the Norse god actually did it for two reasons. The first, because the Sekiryuutei became seriously interested in the Valkyrie, something that never happened in Asgard, which led her to have the nickname of the spinster Valkyrie, and seeing that Issei would take Pair of her decided to entrust her to the chestnut after consulting with her grandmother, who only replied, "I hope to see my great-grandchildren soon." Of course the Valkyrie's parents protested since they wanted to engage their daughter with Vidar, son of Odin, but only vast that Issei demonstrate his power against Or in a fight that Odin prepared by telling the chestnut a little lie that almost cost his son his arms and legs. What was that lie will never be known. That is something that only Odin and Issei himself know, and the second reason was that with her out of the way he would be free to go to the places that the silver-haired Valkyrie never let him go. After abandoning her, she joined Rias' nobility, occupying the position of the Reytheorix second tower, and swore two things. The first, that she would make Odin pay for what he did to her, without knowing that it was for her own good, and the second, when Issei cheered her up and in the process, and accidentally let his feelings for the silver-haired girl slip away, she swore to win him over like another of Issei's girlfriends, and also the main reason why Gakuto will surely hang him. Continuing with the residents, we have Serafal Sitri. After getting engaged to the brown-haired man, she resigned from her position as Mao Leviathan, since it is currently being occupied by a friend of Serafal herself. She would respond to the name of Akame, a friend she met at an anime convention. Of course, both are pure-blooded demons. Akame proved worthy of the position. Her power was comparable to that of Serafal herself, being only slightly inferior in power but superior in strategies, thus becoming known as Akame Leviathan. As for Serafal, she is doing well as the brown-haired man's fiancé. The only problem is that she constantly fights with Gabriel, something that Seraphim does not understand because she is too innocent until reaching the level of Cap. And I am not exaggerating, since just by saying that she was the one who accidentally deflowered Issei by falling in the shower. Well, the pose was compromising, but it will be explained at another time. Regarding the incident, Issei received the worst beating of his life, but shortly after, Serafal sneaked off with Issei to his room to have some action with a brown-haired boy, and let's just say that Issei didn't come out until the next day, where for a week in exchange for not being castrated, he dedicated himself to pleasing all of his girls. And by the way, regarding the Serafal Underworld television program, Magical Leviathan is still in production, only that this one was joined with a Op-Eye Dragon, which generated the beginning of Magical Op-Eye Dragon, a program that was very well received by children and adults and in turn caused a brown-haired boy's bank account to grow almost ridiculously to the point that Rosswise has to help Grayfia with the accounting of the finances, she being another of the brown-haired boy's girls, and she is also the most attached to him, even more than to her sister Sona, or Sotan as she calls her. And speaking of Sona, Sona Sitri, future heir of the Sitri clan, since her sister did not agree to be the heir again. Well, regarding the commitment, she challenged Issei to a chess match in which to remember the advice of her friends Tama and Yamato, which were, if you distract the enemy, victory is guaranteed, or look at every sign, and you will find the weakness in the armor, were the ones that led the brown-haired man to victory by very little, thus making Sona his fiancé, which at first she reluctantly accepted. But as she got to know the brown-haired man, she fell deeply in love with the brown-haired man, and the one who refused was Saji, who after a couple of blows from the brown-haired man and a few words from him, accepted and asked him to take care of his president regarding things in the Hyoudou residence. Well, she is the calmest in the house. Of course, she usually competes with Rias whenever she can for the attention of the light brown-haired man, who is the one who usually keeps her sister at bay so that she does not do crazy things. Ravel Phoenix 4, daughter of the Phoenix family, she was engaged to Issei almost at the same time as Serafal and Sona, only that she accepted, delighted to meet with a light brown who acted like the typical tsundere, saying, "If I have no other option." And regarding the matter of her brother, Issei helped her too much, and with everything they live together, the result is obvious. She is Issei's manager, and she is also the one who helps him the most in his celebrity life. She is also another of Issei's girlfriends, and she is the one who fights the most with Kaneko to sit on Issei's lap. It got to such a point that they used their demonic powers on behalf of Ravel and Yaokai, on behalf of Kaneko. Well, little else would be remarkable about her apart from being a natural tsundere. Gabriel, she was the most unexpected fiancé of the brown-haired man, being that she was the seraphim who rejected the most dates in heaven, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that she sent the devil in a courteous way to many famous gods from other mythologies, and that she chose the brown-haired man. That was a pretty big surprise. And well, another thing to note is that she was, accidentally, the brown-haired man's first sexual partner, all due to an accident involving soap on the floor. The comical slip and a muffled cry of pain from Gabriel, and although it is incredible she did not fall, she is still a pure angel due to her innocence at the level of Cap. Of course, this incident caused Issei to almost die from an excessive beating from the girls. As Issei's fiancé, and barely experiencing love, she is the one who investigates the subject the most, with the brown-haired man as a study partner. Another addition, as strange as it may seem, is that of Rainer, the fallen angel, who had orders to watch over Issei from Azazel. Of course, when his orders changed abruptly, she decided to disobey them, and therefore one of her teammates, Donishik, who came from Kakabiel, tried to brainwash her. Of course, he couldn't since Reiner herself was a higher level fall, so he was easily defeated and killed. Therefore, without wasting time, she warned Issei of everything. From that moment on, she became Issei's ally. To that, it was added that she helped the brown-haired man save Asia from the fallen at Gabriel's orders. Of course, Asia joined the demons along with Issei. She did so in order to take better care of Asia, and regarding the fall, her orders from Azazel were to stay with Issei to watch over him and take care of him. Orders that she happily accepted. Since then she supported the Gremory and Sitri groups as much as she could, and during Gabriel's attack, she could see why he wanted the brown-haired man dead, since he literally humiliated the cadre with one hand, and his confrontation against Lucifer, what can I say, they were evenly matched, and that Issei only used the boosted gear against his rival, the grandson of the Lucifers being that Reiner. Enemu, another resident of the Hyoudou house, and Azazel were the only ones who knew the secret of Rizabum's grandson, a secret that the brown-haired man accidentally discovered, which caused him to become a member of the Hyoudou house. By a law of the dragons regarding Reiner's life in the Hyoudou house, she gets along very well with Asia, and whenever she can competes with Akeno. Enemu, there are few things to highlight about Grigori's Hexiest cadre. She was engaged to the Sekiryuutei by Azazel's idea to strengthen the ties between demons and fallen, which ended with Azazel in the hospital for major fractures, and a lesson learned, never make a girl angry. And regarding her stay, she is the second one who keeps order in the house along with Sona, and although she doesn't know it, she is beginning to develop feelings of love for the Sekiryuutei. And well, at Kuoh Academy she works as a math teacher for the third years, and boy, is she strict. Hiroka is the resident who was most difficult to accept, especially by Kaneko when she threw out in her face what she did and how she abandoned her, but the brown-haired man avoided a misfortune between the sisters with a phrase, "You should tell her the truth or you will lose her forever," which left all the girls confused. Then the brown-haired man explained that going crazy for Senjutsu is almost impossible, and the amount that would be needed after that. Hiroka explained that she went crazy to kill her teacher who planned to use Kaneko as a guinea pig for experiments, needless to say. Everyone was surprised by such a revelation, and Kaneko was apologizing for what she said to her niece Sama, and by the way she thanked Issei for helping her not to lose their sisterly relationship, and well, when it comes to life in the Hyoudou house, she is the most flirtatious with Issei, and the one who seduces him the most at first. That seduction was with the purpose to make kittens and repopulate their race, but after the aforementioned incident, she fell in love with the brown-haired boy when she saw how he helped her altruistically. And regarding her sisterly relationship with Kaneko, Shirin, although it took time, they already took the first step towards reconciliation. Lafay, she is in the Hyoudou residence because of her leader, who had to reveal his biggest secret, which when covered with magic and after dissipating, could be seen a frost hair, so as not to confuse Ross. Yuki and Valeri, this is the color of her hair, long hair and very good figure, being just as beautiful as Rias, if Vali was actually Valeri Lucifer, granddaughter of the original Lucifer, and after losing in a battle against the Sekiryuutei Hyoudou Issei, to whom after reaching the balance breaker. Well, I will summarize everything and say that Valeri lost even after using the Juggernaut drive, and by the law of couple of the dragons, she became the female of Issei. Regarding her life in the Hyoudou house, she spends part of her time talking to her leader, and from time to time she helps train Issei with magic, and well, of the little that remains to say is that the blonde Pendragon is also a fan of Issei and is secretly, everyone you know, in love with Issei, being the reason why Arthur every time he sees Issei, he tries to gut him with Caliburn. Well, in short, he gets along well with everyone in the Hyoudou house. Regarding Valeri Lucifer, well, everything has already been explained. Because after losing against Issei she became his partner, and well, that and little else, apart from the fact that little by little she falls in love with the light brown-haired boy. Drake and Albion do everything possible to prevent their relationship from going any further. Of course, after that 1-week session in which Issei marked all of his partners except Penemu as his own, the sealed dragons gave up and only argue among themselves within their carriers. And well, apart from that, it should be noted that Valeri almost always spends her time fighting with Rias and Akeno over Issei's possession. Other pairs of the chestnut that I will highlight will be the leader Yakai Yasaka and the heiress Seekvaira Agares, who will make their entrance later. Returning to the topic of the box, Issei, seeing its contents, couldn't help but remember all those moments he spent in Kawakami, and he only thought one thing. Issei, thoughts? How are you guys? I want to see you, the brown-haired boy thought, not suspecting that this wish would come true sooner than expected, thanks to a certain old man with a long white beard, an expert in the Kawakami style. Time jump Sunday, Kuoh Academy Principal's office. We can see in the office of the director of the Kuoh Academy the same director to Mr. Hyoudou and Issei himself, but they were happy because it was easy for Issei to be transferred, but because that is because the Kawakami academies in the Kawakami city and the Kuoh Academy in the city of Kuoh decided to transfer a student from each academy to the other, and vice versa in Kawakami, a student from class 2D was chosen, I will not put a name, and from Kuoh Issei was chosen since he was originally from Kawakami, so he complements the environment of Kawakami more easily. This of course was not only decided by the academies, but by the four mass, so that Kawakami would be the territory that would watch over stray demons, since Issei is a high-class demon, and how he was promoted so quickly. Simple his achievements in battles so far, which stand out: defeating Razor in a hand-to-hand, destroying a cadre, repel the attack of the Chaos Brigade during the faction meeting, defeating Loki, killing Shalba Beelzebub, son of the original Beelzebub, claiming the true Longinus, and as icing on the cake his victory against Serekh Baal, the named number 1 rookie demon. All those achievements, and having the power of a supreme class demon, reaching the Mau class, he won the title of high class demon, and is being considered to promote him to supreme class. Of course, he is still Rias Gremory's pawn, until his evil peaks are ready, or well, until the demonic council approves that Issei can have his own entourage, and for those reasons Issei would be transferred to Kawakami. Of course at first they wanted to put him in Kawakami's elite class, but Issei declined the offer, and how his girls took the news, well, let's say not very well, but when they found out that in a month replacements would be assigned to Kuoh, they were quite happy, since in a month they would be with the brown-haired man. Brings us to the next scene. In the Hyoudou house a celebration was held to say goodbye to Issei. Of course, when the party in which Gasper, Kiba, Biku and Arthur participated ended, the girls took the brown-haired boy upstairs, where another type of celebration would take place. Let's just say that some of them won't be able to walk properly for a week. The next day Issei got ready to go to his new academy. He was at Kuoh Station, ready to go to Kawakami, ready to return to his first home. Regarding the girls, they all went to say goodbye to the brown-haired boy with a kiss, each one of them. Some were more greedy than others, and when the train was about to leave, they said goodbye for a month, which would be when they would leave for the city of Kawakami, not knowing that in 2 weeks that city would witness the greatest confrontation of all time between the goddess of war and the most powerful Sekiryuutei of all time, Hyoudou Issei, and with everything that happened the day before, Issei had only one thought in his head. ISSEI thoughts: I'm on my way, guys, wait for me. Change of scene: Kawakami Academy, Monday, room 2F, almost the start of classes. At Kawakami Academy, specifically in class 2F, you can see a commotion like never before, because it's because there's a transfer student, and of course Cap wasn't going to keep quiet about the subject, so he made betting slips, and how the bets went: well, all the girls bet on a boy and all the boys, except for Yamato Tadakatsu Ogen, as he is normally called, Uesugi Sensei's stepson, and Cap himself bet on a boy. Well, that's partly because of a feeling, and the other thing is because this time there was no cheating. It was 100% chance. If you won you won, and if you lost you lost. But why was it like this? Well, Chris threatened Yamato that if they spread a false rumor about whether it is a boy or a girl, she would tell everyone the truth. And just when the tension was more than palpable, the teacher in charge of the class, Yumeko sensei, or to be more short Yum sensei, entered. What everyone fell silent at the announcement he made. Yumeko. Well, as you all know, today a new student will be joining us in room 2F. He transferred from the prestigious Kuoh Academy, so I would appreciate it if you would remain calm. Now come in, said the teacher, as everyone could see the door open, while the class's thoughts were as follows. Girls, thoughts. Please let it be a handsome boy. Of course Chris, Miyako and Kazuko didn't think this for obvious reasons. Well, with the boys. Boys less, Shuichi, Yamato and Jen, thoughts. Let her be a super hexy girl, please. This was a collective thought which was stronger in Yunpachi, nickname given to a boy in class named Fukumoto, that for his unmatched perversion, and for Gakuto, who really wanted her to be a hexy girl for the bet that took 20,000 yen from his pocket. And at that moment, through the door came a brown-haired boy cheering up the girls and boys, except those who bet correctly, making them more than irate and regretful of the bet, and with each step he took, he gave a feeling of familiarity to the members of the Kazama family, except Chris, since he seemed very familiar to them, and when he got to the blackboard and wrote his name, and just when he finished that name it caused Yamato, Shuichi, Miyako, Moro, Bakuto and Kazuko to shed tears of happiness at being able to meet their old friend again, which confused Chris and surely most of the class, but would make the other members of the Kazama family happy. And just when he turned around and said his name was when it all began. Issei. My name is Hyoudou Issei. I used to live in the city, but because of my parents' work, I had to move, but today I returned home. I hope we can get along, said the brown-haired man with a name that Chris was finally able to recognize thanks to the conversation she had about the past with the members of the Kazama family a few days ago. In front of her was the last member of the family that would now be complete again. In front of her was Hyoudou Issei. Himeko. Well, does anyone have any questions for the new student? I asked and everyone raised their hands. The first person to ask was Fukumoto, go ahead. Inpachi. What is a handsome boy doing in this academy? Have you come to steal all the pretty girls from us? Yunpachi said, that's what I'll call him from now on except in the teacher's dialogues, to which all the men except Yamato, Cap, Tadakatsu and surprisingly Gakudo and Moro didn't respond and Issei's response was. Issei. I came to this academy at the request and recommendation of the director. Originally I was to be transferred to class 2s, but I asked for this so I could enjoy my days at the academy. And about the girls, don't worry, I won't take any of them away from you. After all, I also came to meet up with my old childhood friends, but above all, to accomplish one thing. Chika. What would be that thing that you came to complete, Issei-san? Asked the one known as a Gasawara girl, a modern gal-style girl without a tan who in Issei's words was beautiful. Issei. That simple, Agasawara-san, what I came to do is defeat the goddess of war, said Issei, to which the entire class was stunned. They didn't believe what Issei was saying. He wanted to defeat Kawakami Momoyo, the strongest woman in the world. That was crazy. But seeing his serious gaze, they could see that he wasn't joking and for some inexplicable reason, they believed that he would succeed. And that was when, finally, after all, a member of the Kazama family spoke. The person who spoke was Kazama Shuichi. Shuichi Issei, it's really you, but look how you've changed, I almost didn't recognize you. Issei. Yes, it's me, Cap, I'm back. That also goes for you guys. Yamato, Kazuko, Miyako, Moro, Gakudo are back. How have you been? Well, we'll talk later. What do you say? Kazama family, except Chris. Rest assured. And so after the presentation of the new student who was apparently a member of the Kazama family, classes continued normally until lunchtime, and regarding the rumors of the new student of the academy, they spread faster than wildfire to such an extent that just at lunchtime when Issei was preparing to follow Yamato to have lunch and catch up, the doors of the class opened abruptly, and the cause of such a commotion were Sakakibara Koyuki or Yuki and Kawakami Momoyo or Momo-senpai, which before anyone said anything kidnapped Issei and took him to the typical place where members of the Kazama family usually have lunch. Of course they were followed by Yamato, Wanko, Miyako, Shuichi, Moro, Chris and Gakudo, who were joined by Jun, Tama and Yuki, went to the roof where the talk with the last member of the Kazama family would begin. Already on the roof, everyone was gathered to catch up with the last member of the Kazama family. The ones who were most curious about the subject were Yuki and Chris, since they were intrigued by the boy in question, of course out of pure curiosity, and just when it seemed that the silence would be eternal, the one who spoke was Momoyo. Well, Issei, tell us how things went in Kuoh City and what new things have happened in your life. The one who spoke was Momoyo, who was intrigued by what the boy would say. Kazuko. Yes, Issei Nai-sama, how did it go in that city? Answer, said Kazuko, to which Issei swore that he grew dog ears and a tail. Koyuki. Yes, I think it's time you told us what happened to you during all these years, don't you think, Ice-kun, said the white-haired woman almost in interrogative mode. Kazama family. Then speak. Issei. Thoughts. What do I do? Almost everything that happened to me was in the supernatural world. What do I do? Ah yeah, hey Drake, are you there? Respond Winged Lizard. Drake, what's going on mate, and don't call me a lizard with wings. Issei. Thoughts. Sorry Drake, but what do you think I should do? I should tell the boys about the supernatural. I mean, they are my friends and I don't want to lie to them. What do you think, Drake? Drake. Well, I don't know, the question here is, do you trust them? Do you trust that they won't say anything about what happened to you until now? Tell me, do you trust them? Issei. Thoughts. Of course I do Drake, what's wrong with you? Drake. Then I think you know what to do, right? Issei. Thoughts. Thanks Drake. Issei. Well guys, before I answer I want to ask you, do you believe in the supernatural? Issei asked, to which the entire Kazama family was intrigued and Momoyo was somewhat terrified by the subject of ghosts. Kazama family? Who? That was how Issei decided not to hide anything from the Kazama family regarding the subject of the supernatural. Of course at first they did not believe him, and that was when Issei asked them what proof he wanted him to give them, and Yamato asked him to show him his wings, almost sure that he was lying, but he swallowed his words when from Issei's back 2 dragon wings came out and even waved them in the air. It was at that moment that everyone believed him and Issei told them about all his adventures and all the enemies he faced, also from the sacred gear. Of course that surprised them, but what caused 2 members to go crazy was the fact that Issei has a harem, and when he mentioned 2 of its members being a platinum movie and an albino loli, Gakudo and Jun wanted to kill him, and Issei wanted to because Momo and Yuki knocked them out before they did something. Of course, the 2 girls got angry at first, but then they calmed down, because if that thing about dragons having several wives is true, then the 2 of them could be by Issei's side without worries. Of course, Issei asked them not to tell anyone about the subject for anything in the world. Issei. And that would be all questions. Yamato. Yes, I have one, how many girls are in your harem? Yamato asked, to which the boys paid close attention. Issei. Well, I took a photo, it would be them, he said pointing at the photo, to which everyone would pay attention to it, and they would be frozen by what they saw in front of them. In the photo they could see 15 beauties, which caused Kikuto and June to fall into depression. Moro just dedicated a smile to his partner Tama, and Yamato felt even more admiration for Issei, and Cap just said that the family would end up growing even more. As for the girls, well, Miyako gave them little importance since Yamato was the only one for him, and with the information about the demons, dragons and others, she thought that she could finally be with Yamato without problems. Kazuko said on several occasions that it was indecent and other things. Yuki and Chris were the ones who were calm about the subject, since by how she describes the girls in the photo, it was seen that she loved them very much. And regarding Momoyo and Yuki, they were already planning ways to seduce the brown-haired boy until Cap, due to his stupidity and innocence, asked a subject that would bring Armageddon to the Kazama family. That was the subject. Shuichi. By the way, Issei, you're still a virgin. Cap dropped the bomb and condemned everyone, since 2 black auras could be seen emanating from Yuki and Momo, while the others just cursed Cap for his stupidity. Issei. Well, Cap, that topic is actually funny, but I didn't lose it in an incident involving a bar of soap on the floor, a comical fall, and a scream of pain, Zordo, that's all I'll say. Cap. I see, then he gets hit by all the boys except Issei, ouch, and that's because he was boys. Gkozama minus Cap and Issei look ahead. And that is what I saw. Cap could only tremble at the aura that Momoyo and Koyuki emitted, which was not pleasant at all, to say the least, since that aura made the boys' nerves stand on end. Kazuko. Well, Issei Nai-sama changing the subject regarding those saw. Issei. Sacred gears regarding them, I don't know too much about them, I only know that they are a gift from the biblical god with which some humans are born, and they are divided into 3 categories. 1. The twice criticals are the most common, what these do is give a momentary increase in power or physical abilities. There are several types such as increased energy, extra arms, creation of objects, healing etc. In summary, they are the most common. The second category are the sacred gears prison, as its name indicates they are sacred gears with beings sealed inside. These can range from simple creatures like chimeras to celestial dragons, and as a last category are the Longinus. Kazama family Longinus. Issei. If the Longinus are 13 in total and are divided into the categories low level, medium level, and high level, these would be the most powerful of all. Shuichi. Wait, Issei, could you describe to us how those Longinus work, or at least the ones you know? Issei. Of course, Cap, but first, Chris-an, just in case you are religious. Chris. Yes, I am, why the question? Issei. Well, could you tell me the name of the spear that killed the Son of God? Chris. If I remember correctly, in the Bible they called it the Spear of Longinus because don't tell me. Issei. Exactly, the name Longinus is in honor of the spear that killed the Son of God, which is also a Longinus, and is also the most powerful of all of these. Momoyo. But if that is the case, why do you tell us and not explain the Longinus, and instead you are explaining to us about that spear? Issei. For 2 reasons, Momo-chan. The first is so that you understand the scope of all the Longinus, as these are sacred gears weapons capable of killing gods. All 13 Longinus have that ability if the user knows how to get the most out of the tool itself. For example, the ones I know are the boosted gear, which would be one of my 2 sacred gears. Yamato. Wait, can you be born with more than one of those things? Issei. Yes, I have known of cases in which some children are born with more than one sacred gear, or by another means it would be to transplant the sacred gears to another user, as is the case of a friend of Kuoh who was given 5 sacred gears, but he could bear so many, because these 5 belong to the same dragon. Yuki dragon, so it is possible to divide the soul of a dragon into more than one sacred gear. Issei-san. Issei. In fact, it is possible, but it is not recommended, Yuki-san, because the sealed being loses not only his consciousness but his power as well, and is affected by the division. In short, it is as if you divided a chocolate into several pieces. These have the same flavor, but the range of enjoyment is less than a full bar, something like losing it in the process. Yuki. I see, by the way you said you had more than one sacred gear, what is the other one? Issei. Everything in its time. Returning to the explanation of the Longinus level sacred gears, the second reason why I explained the Spear of Longinus first, or as it is normally known, the true Longinus, is that this spear may be the most powerful, but it is not invincible. Momoyo. What do you mean, Issei, that spear isn't the most powerful, according to what you said? Issei. Well, that's simple, although Longinus's spear is the most powerful by impact, it doesn't mean that it's invincible. That's because, for example, another Longinus like Imagination Maker can defeat it. Chris. How can you do it? You said that spear can kill gods, so how can the other Longinus beat the spear? What advantage would one have over the other? Issei. The advantage would be the numbers. Let's take an example. If Momo-chan faced an army alone where each soldier had, for example, Yuki-san's level. Yuki? Me? Why me? Issei. It's just a good example. In that case, Momo-chan would win at the beginning due to her strength and superior combat skills, but that would only be until. Yamato. The pressure of the soldiers caused the enemy to collapse until it was completely exhausted, in other words, quantity instead of quality. Issei. Exactly, Yamato. In other words, while the true Longinus can finish off a god with a single blow, it is not the same result against an army that would slowly diminish the enemy's strength until it is defeated. Another example would be the divine dividing, Drake's rival sacred gear. Chuichi Drake. Issei. A certain Drake would be the dragon sealed in the boosted gear. Look, immediately afterward the boosted gear manifested, surprising the entire Kazama family, and when the gem shone. Drake. Nice to finally meet you, Kazama family. Let me introduce myself. I am Drager, the Welsh dragon, the celestial dragon of domination and being sealed in the boosted gear, a pleasure. Said the dragon, to which everyone was surprised again that the glove spoke, to which Issei summarized the history of Drake and Albion and their eternal rivalry. Issei. Well, where was I going? Regarding divine dividing, since it is the opposite of Drake, instead of doubling the power every 10 seconds, it divides the opponent's power in half and keeps it for itself at the same time. Well, with that ability to divide, it can diminish the power of the bearer of the true Longinus little by little until it is completely exhausted. This would be an example of the weakness of all sacred gears. Tama. What would be the weakness of such weapons, Issei-kun? Issei the user, since we can all be defeated without exception. Issei. Well, any other questions? To which Jun raised his hand that was not related to my Kuoh partners. Immediately after, Jun lowered his hand and Gakuto raised it. He also excluded conversations about women he met in the supernatural world. Almost immediately, Gakuto lowered his hand and raised it. He died. Jun Gakuto. Because if you were to answer his question, they asked, clearly annoyed. Issei. Why Moro at least won't ask something perverted, and that's why you really want to know, Moro. Ikuya. Well, Issei, regarding that matter of the demonic clans, I assume the Kuoh was the territory of the clans you mentioned, receiving an assent from the chestnut, so why did they let you come to the city of Kawakami? Issei. That's simple, it's because I was assigned Kawakami as my surveillance and protection territory. It's true that the city has the Kawakami temple and at its respective level, Momo-chan and the Tessin master who drive away most of the stray demons, but the council preferred not to risk the city of Kawakami and innocent lives, so they assigned me to avoid possible disasters and in turn, keep the supernatural hidden from the citizens of the city. For those reasons they would be. Momoyo. Wait, Issei, so we can scare away those cellar demons. How strong would the old man and I be on the scale of the supernatural world? Momoyo asked, clearly intrigued. Issei. Well, I'll go from the weakest to the strongest, counting everyone present. First, at the lowest would be Moro, like an average human, to which Moro would get a little depressed. Then a little higher up would be Yamato and Tama, since they can dodge attacks of a certain level, it puts them above average, which would make those mentioned proud of their abilities as strategists. Further up would be Cap and Gakuto, Cap being fast, resistant and to a certain extent skilled in martial arts, would be classified as a low-class demon, to which Cap would puff out his chest with pride, then Gakuto, more than anything due to his physical strength, would leave him in that place almost next to Cap, to which Gakuto would boast about his muscles. Gyun would be higher up, since he is a fairly skilled warrior, I would place him as a low middle-class demon around there, to which the bald man would only smile slightly. In a higher position are Chris, Miyako and Kazuko. Chris for her innate ability with the rapier and great mastery in said weapon, and Kazuko for her training, speed, skill obtained in training and agility, then Miyako for her skill with a bow and skill in martial arts, places them in the position of middle-class demon in those places more or less, to which the aforementioned would look at each other with rivalry. One step above would be Yuki, who with the training she received, her talent and her instincts for battle, would leave her in the rank of a middle-high class demon. Congratulations for trying so hard, Yuki, said Issei, as he would caress Yuki's head and she would just smile very innocently. One step above is Yuki-san. Due to your sword training, your great mastery and talent with the weapon and your senses and instincts, far superior to average, places you at the high-class demon level. I must say you are incredible, Yuki-san, to which the aforementioned would only be embarrassed almost to the point of fainting. Yamato. But you left the best for last, didn't you, Issei? Issei. You got it right, Yamato. In the end we are Momo-chan, and me, well, first I will classify myself with and without my sacred gears. Well, without them, I reach the level of high class demon bordering on the supreme class, that due to the techniques I learned from the Kawakami temple, that added to the fact that my body is 25% human 30% dragon, because of the boosted gear, and 45% demon gives me greater resistance strength and agility than a common reincarnated demon, and a pure blood that would be my strength without the sacred gears, but with them things change, since my power scale increases in an almost ridiculous way. If I only use the boosted gear, my level is already that of a supreme class demon, close to the Mao class. With the balance breaker only searches Sama could approach me being the most powerful Mao, and if I occupy the Triena or the True Queen, my power rise is almost approaching the power that Drake had in his best moments, that is, if I use both sacred gears. My power can match that of Great Red, but I wouldn't be able to beat him, that's for sure. And in the end with Momo-chan, due to her monstrous talent, great and arduous training, numerous techniques and overwhelming power, she falls into the same category as me, only there is no clear indication of who is stronger of the two. After the chestnut's explanation, everyone became somewhat tense regarding the power they possessed, some proud of it, others wanting to surpass it, as is the case of Kazuko and Chris, but Kazuko asks something. Kazuko and Issei nai Sama if those are our ranks, which is grandfathers. Issei. Well, that's hard to explain, but his current rank is that of a Mao, but in his best days, he was as strong as a rookie celestial dragon. Beyond that rank Tessen-sensei didn't reach, and in turn, it's the reason why almost no stray demons appear around here. Everyone was impressed by such a revelation, knowing that Kawakami Tessen would be so powerful made them think that he was not someone to underestimate. But then a couple of events that would soon take place in the academy came to everyone's mind, one because of the dates of the academy, and another because of the presumptuous people of class 2s those events were. Shuichi. Now that I think about it, what will we do with the sports festival and the Kawakami war? Since Issei is in the 2F, things change a lot, don't you think, guys? To which everyone without exception realized, but Momoyo and Issei saw this as an opportunity to fix their fight once and for all, and fulfill their promise. Well, only Momoyo, since Issei had no idea about the Kawakami war. Issei. Cap, what is this Kawakami war you're talking about? I understand the sports festival, but what is this war about? Asked a brown-haired boy, clearly intrigued by the Kawakami war. Shuichi. Right, Issei wasn't there that day. Well, you see, so Cap, with a lot of help from Yamato and Tama, explained what the Kawakami war was and why it happened, that in Issei's opinion that war should have broken out much earlier if that spark between the two classes was that big. So according to him, Tamayuki and Jun made an effort in the 2s, and when he found out that Momoyo was part of the 2s team, he understood and wouldn't waste this opportunity to defeat his childhood friend for anything in the world, and he didn't want to even imagine what Momoyo would ask him for in case of losing the fight, something that gives him chills completely. And at the end of the explanation, Momoyo. Now you understand, Issei, and that war you and I will face each other and Issei. We will keep our promise and finally find out. Momoyo who? Issei the lost too. Momoyo Issei. He is the strongest, and so with those words the sports festival and the Kawakami war would be the most intense to date, a war that would see the clash of two legends, the goddess of war and the most powerful Sekiryuutei in history, would clash their power and finally find out which of the two considered dragons was the most powerful of all. Without a doubt an unprecedented battle was just around the corner and nothing could prevent it. And with only 3 weeks left for the Kawakami war and 1 for the sports festival, the rivalry between the best friends reawakened to its full potential. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.